Hey guys, Cameron here, back with another deck profile, this time featuring a ReZero deck that I've been building and playing for the past few weeks, and I took it to an undefeated 4-0 run at Card Art when I was visiting the Bay Area during the holidays, and so I guess this series is back. We did pretty well with the deck and locals, so yeah, doing a deck profile for the deck that I chose. So ReZero is not a very particularly spicy or special deck. I mean, I think it's really popular. A lot of people think it's one of the best decks in this format, and I agree. But I do have some opinions about the deck because I've been playing it quite a bit. And so I guess I'll take this time to share a little bit of my thoughts about the deck and some of the findings I've had through playtesting. And just hopefully some of my thoughts on this deck can be helpful if you're looking to either build ReZero for yourself or I guess kind of improve your ReZero gameplay and your deck and your tech choices, because there's definitely a lot of options for the deck. And so what you choose to put in your deck and what you choose to not put in your deck can matter quite a lot. Also, this deck is pretty cheap if you have the set 1 and 2 stuff already. Like the new stuff is all really cheap because the set was bought out to oblivion. Alright, so this is going to be the 8 pans, mostly Rem deck, but I'm not only playing the maids. I am playing some non-Rem and Ram cards because I do think that is the best version of the deck. Alright, so starting from level 0. Okay, so first thing I need to talk about this deck because of the level 3 combo. So if you guys aren't familiar with the level 3 combo, this level 3, the climax combo requires you to reveal the top card of your deck with the climax combo, and if you reveal a 0, you burn 3 twice, and if you reveal not a level 0 character specifically, you burn 1 twice. So because of that, most decks are playing a lot of level 0s to maximize the chance that this burns 3 twice. Some decks take it a little too far, I think, and try to put as many 0s as possible, and even try to like slim down the level 1 and higher packages. Personally, I think the burn 1 is just as valuable as the burn 3. Like obviously we want to burn 3 most of the time, but there are games where like the burn 1 is going to be better, right? So you don't always want to not have burn 1 possibilities in your deck. You want to have a little bit of a mix of both. Obviously you just want more 0s. So I think that instead of trying to like slam as many 0s as possible, the way I build around this is I need to make sure that all the level 1 and higher cards really deserve to be there and really like have value. I don't want to play like level 1 or higher text. I want to have all the text space to level 0, and 1 or higher is just going to be like staple, good cards that I just really need to run in the deck. Yeah. So that's my thought process. So we are on quite a lot of 0s, but not like the ultimate maximum amount of 0s. We can shove in more, but like I don't think it's necessary. So starting off with a level 0, we're playing the Black Panther Rem at 4 copies. I mean, this is just like, you have to run this card at 4 copies. This card is too good, right? 3k always, 4/5 if you don't cancel damage, and when it reverses a battle opponent, mandatory Salvage Ditch. And in a deck that runs 8 pants triggers, the Salvage Ditch is just like phenomenal. It's just so crazy good. Like I think like Black Panther is really good as a card, but in like the door builds for Marvel, it's like not that impressive because like, you're gonna salvage anyways. You don't really need the extra selection. But we saw the real power of like this Black Panther profile in the 8 pants key deck with the Shiki. Like because that deck was 8 pants and had no selectivity outside of this level 0. That level 0 just, it did so much work. And in this deck as well, I think it just does a ton of work, being able to help you select. So basically, this is just your hand filter throughout the entire course of the game. Like you're playing this card in later turns just to get the cards you want. It's crazy. Alright, and obviously we're playing 4 copies of the Amelia level 0 vanilla that works with the 1-0. I guess just to put the 1-0 out as well, we are playing as well 4 copies of it. Because, so this is like a card that some people cut down to like 3, but like this card is just so insane. Like why would you not run 4, right? I think like there's just no reason to run any less than 4. If anything, I try to level one of these just so that it won't be in rotation, but like you still want all 4 copies like available for your like at the start of the game, right? Just so you can like get the stock immediately. So yeah, so on play of the 1-0 you can stock the level 0 from the waiting room, and obviously level 0 3k vanilla is perfectly fine as just like a beater at level 0. So like this package is like you have to run this package. Like why would you not run this package? There's so many games where you're like 1 stock off and then you just do this, and then now you have like triple combo easy. All right, so this is a choice that not everybody runs, but I do run. I'm still running 4 copies of the Beatrice common from set 1. This is on play mill 2, and if you mill a climax, you just get a salvage card for free. This card was crazy in set 1. I don't see how it's not still crazy because it mills, which is something that the deck lacks, and it pluses if you hit a climax, which and it's just free card advantage, right? I just think you run this card because it's really good and it's a plus, and it's always like a mill. So like, yeah, I think this is a really good card for the deck, and it allows me to play aggressively with this deck, which is what I want to do. I want to be doing a lot of damage with this deck. I don't want to have to kill from range. Again, I prefer decks that are consistent and aggressive early game, and with a strong finisher on top of that, so that you can really close out games. I feel like that's just a really consistent way to win. Alright, next we're playing 3 copies of the new RAM double rare Happy Christmas. So this is the level 0 bomb, as well as when it gets sent from stage to waiting room, you can pay 1 and then check top 3, clock 1 of them, and then you can salvage from your waiting room. So it's like a salvage Riki effectively, but with the top 3 clock condition, which is really nice. You can run like 4, you can run 2. Some number of this card I think is just good. I like 3, it's like a decent-ish beater. I do like the deck speed with the Riki effect, so that's kind of nice, which is why I like this one a little bit more. But yeah, any number between 2 and 4 I think is pretty good, but you probably should run 2 at least. It's just a little too good not to run in a deck, right? It's like a level 0 bomb, so it's really valuable at 0, and it helps you get advantage at level 0, so it's like, it's pretty good. Alright, 3 brainstorms. I don't think you run any less. You could run 4, but I think 3 is fine. You really need the brainstorm with the level 1 combo, otherwise you have the chance of missing, and even with the brainstorm you still have the chance of missing, so like it's always great to have the brainstorm. And then at level 3 you want like 2 brainstorms, usually in like the finisher turn setups. Just gives you a lot of like deck knowledge, deck manipulation, deck control. So salvage brainstorm, and then when you play a climax, choose one of your characters, get 500 power, and you can look at the top of your deck, and then you leave it on top or put it to the bottom of the deck. It's really important because like both our climax combos like reveal cards from the top of our deck, so like having deck knowledge is really good, and especially a level 3 combo, we can like usually top check 3 and mill down to a small deck, so we can like, if we do it, have 2 brainstorms, do it twice, then we actually get to know like a lot of information in our deck, right? It's like really good. So yeah, generally trying to get 2 of these out over the course of the game I think is really important. Alright, we're playing 2 copies of the Riki, so this is a little low, I do realize. I don't own more than 2 copies, and I didn't buy any more. I think 2 is enough. You could run 3. I think if I did have more, I'd probably run like 3 of this and 3 of this. But like 2 is fine, I think. In a deck like this where you just have so many ways to get cards, I don't think the Riki is like that important. Like, yeah, I think it's good obviously, but like the deck plus is so much already, like you don't really need it. Mostly just to hit yourself to level 1, but you can always just do that with the RAM as well. So like, not like totally important, but it's a nice card to have. I would run no less than 2 probably. I don't think this is a deck that gets to get away with 1 just because of how good the level 1 combo is, and just like level 1 tools in this deck. And I mean, most of your deck is level 1 or lower, so like Riki basically searches for like anything in your deck. So I definitely don't think you should run less than 2, but you can run like up to 4, and I think it's fine, right? I think 4 is probably a little overkill. Like I don't think you need 4, but like you could. Yeah, it's like, again, not a bad choice, right? But like, I'm just kind of demonstrating how like you don't actually need to play that many copies of Rikis anymore. I think this is like, you know, we're in an age of weiss where like Rikis are not just an auto 4 of in every deck. All right, now we're going to the 1-ofs at 0, and there's a lot, so bear with me here. So climax swap, pretty self-explanatory. It's the best climax swap because it's 4K in center. I'm playing 1 copy of the Bonder to the level 3. Just as an extra way to get to the level 3. Also, on play has a top check 2 effect, which is really good with both our level 3 and our level 1 combo, so I think this card is pretty good. Playing 1 copy of this on play, pay 2 salvage, and on play Hana stock. This RAM is like insane. Or like this profile, I think that they've been doing it now. I think it's in Eurocamp, and it's also in this set. I think this profile is probably like the best profile, the best utility level 0 profile in the game. Like Hana stock is really important, and then the fact that it has pay 2 salvage on top of the Hana stock means that if you do both effects, it's effectively a drop salvage. You pay 1, ditch 1, salvage a card. So it's like a drop salvage and a Hana stock, but because the drop salvage is like compartmentalized into like 2 different effects, you can also just pay 2 salvage if you need hand and you don't need to like, you have a bunch of stock. So like this card just has like so many good effects, and like I would always run 1 of this card or this card profile in every deck I play. I think this card is just crazy. Alright, 1 helmet. This is also a level 0 bomb, so like this is probably the best helmet. There's like another helmet in this set. It's like the Amelia one. I think this one's just better because it's a bomb. All right. And then one Rico. This is pretty self-explanatory. All right, now we're gonna get to the spicy cards that I'm teching because I do think these are kind of spicy. So one 4/5 Ren. So this Ren's downside is that it can never stand. So the first turn that you play it, it can attack, but then after it's tapped, it can't stand by its own effect during the stand phase. You can stand it with other cards effect. I don't even know if there's another card in ReZero that can stand a character, but like it cannot stand during the stand phase, right? But then the second effect is you pay 1, send this to the waiting room to top check 4, add a magic or a weapon. And obviously deck speed is really important, and this gives us deck speed, helps us pay out stock if we bury like a climax or something. But like what's really good about this card is that it's a 4/5 beater that also probably doesn't die at level 0. Like you swing this, you kill something, it doesn't die unless your opponent like bombs it or something, and then you just move it to your back row, and then at any point you can sack it to get a top 4 effect. So it's like, it's just a really good card, I think. Like this card is really insane. And it helps with like the big walls we can play at 0. Like we have like 4 3Ks, 4 the Shiki Black Panthers, and then we have this as well. So it's really good. Like yeah, I run this for deck speed. I run this because it's a good beater. I think this kind of does multiple roles all in one card, which is why I like it. I like cards like this where you know, you just do more than one role. And then the last card I play is the level 0 Petra. This is shift level 0, and then on play, pay 1, ditch 1 to refresh your deck. So shuffle your waiting room back into your deck. This is because I don't have healers. I don't own the Rem early play healer, and you can run a healer instead of this card. Personally, I wouldn't even run the Rem early play healer. I think that card's actually really bad. I'll talk about why later. Actually, I'll talk about why right now. Okay, basically, this deck wants to like kill your opponent when you hit level 3. With like triple Rem combo, and triple Rem combo is like 10 stock and a bunch of hand, right? So like you probably don't have the stock to spend on an early play heal. If you are going to early play heal and miss out on a Rem combo at level 3, then it's not worth it to play early play heal. Why are you healing 1 when you can be burning 3 twice, right? It's just like doesn't make any sense. So I think even giving yourself the option to early play heal, I think it's just a trap. You should not even give yourself the option, in my opinion. So if I was gonna run a healer, I would actually run the Amelia healer, which is the PR pack one. It heals, and then on attack you can pay 2, ditch 2 to burn 2. That's kind of like an off finisher. You probably don't need it, but like if you're gonna play a healer at level 3 just to not die to like 3/6 refresh, then you might as well play a healer that can actually like do something at level 3, right? But like this is also another way to get around dying to 3/6 refresh. This is, you know, you play this, you refresh your deck, and then you're not gonna die, obviously. So yeah, if you don't play, you don't need an actual healer for like the heal effect. You just need a healer, or you need a card to prevent yourself from dying to refresh if you're like 3/6 and close to refresh. Petra's upside to a healer is that it also resets your deck. So like even in early game situations, if you're out like 8, then you can use Petra to refresh your deck. Or like if all your climaxes are in your waiting room of like a certain type, and you want to like try to draw it like on final turn, if all your level 3 climaxes are in waiting room, you can use Petra to refresh the deck, and then top check 3 to try to grab it. So like Petra's a pretty good card. Honestly, you don't need a healer. I'm showing off Petra as like a kind of like a budget alternative to healing. Like you don't need healers, I think, in this deck. And Petra's a level 0, obviously, so it's like you can grab it off the Rico pretty easily, and if you reveal it off of the level 3 Rem combo, it is going to be burn 3. So yeah, definitely don't need a healer. This deck is really cheap because of that. I think that like you don't actually like, this is the most expensive card of the deck, and like if you didn't have this from set 2, I'm sorry. All right, level 1s. So this is all level 0s. Actually, let me count how many. So 12, 15, 18, 20, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 27 level 0s. Pretty good number. It could be more, it could be less, but like it's 27. Like you want to be like in like the mid to high 20s. All right, level 1 combo. Happy Christmas Ren. This is, I don't like this combo, but it is the best combo that we can run, right? So plus 2k during your turn, and then the climax combo, when you play the climax, reveal the top card of your deck. If it is a magic or weapon character, you can salvage anything, and then choose one of your characters. It gets Ton Drive, and this activates from anywhere, so it can activate in the back row. You can do 4 of it, which is why combo's crazy. But it can miss, and they all activate at the start of your climax phase or on climax placement, so that, you know, if you miss, then they all miss, and their entire effect comes from hitting, so you don't even get Twin Drive if you miss. And that's happened to me a few times where like check climax, put it at the bottom, reveal climax. I guess we're not plussing, but yeah, I mean it's just too good. Like when it works, it's just too good. So we kind of have to play this combo. It's just too good, right? Yeah, it's just too good. All right, and then obviously we're playing 4 copies of the Amelia. And those are our level 1s. Level 2, I'm playing 1 anti-change counter. You don't have to play this. I play it because I cannot imagine playing a deck without anti-change counter. But you don't have to, right? Like this is like actually kind of like a meta call. Again, you don't want to waste resources at level 2 anti-changing if it means you can't do an extra copy of the Rem combo, right? Like this is kind of like the cherry on top. But I do think having the tool to both anti-change and also having a stack counter is like too good to pass up. It has multiple roles, not just like using for anti-change purposes. So I do think it's worth it to run it, but you could totally cut this. Like you actually don't need this card. Again, the whole point of this deck is we build upon resources, we hit level 3, we triple red, they die. Like that should be your main game plan. If you're spending resources on anything else that doesn't contribute to that game plan specifically, then you're not going to do well with this deck. Speaking of Rem, triple Rem is really easy, 10 stock, and you don't actually need that much hand because Rem replaces yourself on play. So yeah, you should be able to get triple Rem basically every single game that you actually try for it. And if you're not, then you're probably wasting too much stock on brainstorming and doing other stuff. And yeah, you should just try to get to triple Rem. Like if you bury a climax, don't worry about paying it out if like you know that if you pay it out, you're not going to be able to triple Rem. Like your goal is to always triple Rem. You need to aim for triple Rem because you're not always going to get it. You aim for triple Rem so that you can consistently double and also be in a situation where double kills, right? But if you don't aim for triple Rem, you are not going to even be able to double sometimes. Like that's just kind of how these things work, right? Like if you're preparing for 10 stock, you give yourself the wiggle room so that you can go up plus or minus 2, right? And then 8 stock is like double Rem plus like stock swap, stock shuffle, right? Which is like really good. But if you aim for like 6 stock, then your plus minus 2 is like really bad, right? Speaking of stock shuffle, we do play 1 copy of the stock shuffle Rem. This card is crazy, right? This also refreshes us, so like if we are in a situation where 3/6 go to die to refresh, we can just play this down instead of the Petra. So technically there's a little bit of a, what do you call it? This is why I also say you don't really need a healer. We have like multiple cards that can do this. But yeah, so first effect on play, you can either stock shuffle your opponent or you can refresh your waiting room. And then the second effect is you can on play ditch a card to mill your opponent 8. So the mill 8 is really good. Generally speaking, I did the math. If your opponent has no climax in the stock, you always stock shuffle, right? Basically, if your opponent's stock is, how do I say it? If your opponent's stock is cleaner than if you shuffle the stock into their deck, that whole pile, then you should always stock shuffle because it's always a net positive. Or it's like, it's either net neutral or positive, right? So you just kind of have to do a bit of quick math to figure that out. It's not too hard. But then the mill 8 is, how do I say this? The best use case for the mill 8 is actually if your opponent mills down to 1 card and then they have a ton of stock, obviously the stock shuffle is not going to be that useful. So the mill 8 is really great in those situations to force your opponent to refresh and then force them to stock shuffle into a new deck rather than like their small deck that they passed on, right? So that's the best use case for the mill 8. If you have extra cards in hand, you can just mill 8 for fun because it's random. It's just a random mill 8, right? It gets them closer to a refresh. If you mill climaxes, you mill climaxes, yada yada. I will say that if your opponent's stock is not clean, so if your opponent's stock is clean, generally speaking, I would always just stock shuffle first because it's going to always be either net neutral or positive, and then I may or may not mill 8. That's like optional afterwards, right? If your opponent's stock is not clean, that's when you can think about milling 8 first. And the reason why you would think about that is because if your opponent's stock is not clean, let's say they've triggered 1 climax in it. They're like let's say it's 1 and 8, right? Then if you just stock shuffle, there's a chance you can shuffle that climax out and then shuffle 8 clean cards back into your stock and you give them an extra cancel, right? And that is not, obviously it's not desirable, but you also don't know the likelihood of that happening like after you play this in stock shuffle, like you don't know what's gonna be in their stock, right? And so like then the information that you get from the mill 8 it's just like it's kind of random, right? You're not very informed when you're making the decision. However, here's where the rant gets to. If your opponent has 1 card in stock and 8 climaxes, you can mill 8 first. Then if you mill a shit ton of climaxes, then you know your opponent's deck is now pretty uncompressed, so you don't want to do the stock shuffle to potentially shuffle that 1 climax back. However, if you mill 8 clean, now you know the rest of your opponent's deck is really compressed, which means that if you stock shuffle here, the chances are you're going to hit more than 1 climax in the stock shuffle, so it's actually worth it to do it. Does that make sense? So basically, if your opponent's stock is clean, you always stock shuffle first and then mill 8 for fun, right? If your opponent's stock is not clean, I would recommend milling 8 first to get a better idea of whether the stock shuffle is worth it or not. That was a long rant for a very simple principle, but hopefully that helps. Because I do think that like using this correctly is, you know, make or break for the deck, I think. Yeah, like generally speaking, if you can do like triple plus this, you win the game. That's how I win a lot of my games. All right, and then last character I play is the set 132 support Rem. This is just to give our Rem and Rams in front of this card hexproof, which is basically our finishers, and like hexproof is really strong. This card also on play draw 2, ditches 2 to help us filter. So I think just a really good card. Hexproof is really important. I think it beats out a lot of matchups where if you didn't run this card, you would just lose to like a rest counter or like an anti-damage counter or something like that. All right, and then last but not least, the climaxes. Yeah, it's still really funny to me that they printed this many Rem cards when all Rem did in this season was sleep. But yeah. Anyways, that's my ReZero deck and a bit of my ideas on like my tech choices and how to play certain parts of the deck. Yeah, generally speaking, you're just trying to wombo combo your opponent. And again, if you are not successfully getting triple Rem or like feeling like you can do triple Rem every game, you need to think about where you're spending your stock resources or your hand resources and just asking yourself, is it really worth it to spend 2 stock doing this? Or do I just want to save that 2 stock for the final turn where I could just kill my opponent with triple Rem, right? Triple Rem basically kills from like almost anywhere because it's just so much damage. So yeah, you know, I played pad, I played nay, so this kind of feels like playing nay, but with some upside. Like the level 0 game is clearly stronger than the pad level 0 game, but I do think the mid game is a little bit more wonky. Like I think pad had like a lot better tools at like the mid game to deal with, and obviously pad has like actual stock swap, so like that part's better. But yeah, deck's really fun, really simple to play, a lot of like cool stuff to like optimize and like get really good at, so would definitely recommend. So let me know if you have any questions or comments about this deck. I'll be happy to help and answer in the comment section below, and we're probably going to get this deck in English, so get familiar with this because you're going to see this deck a lot when it comes to English. Alright, and that's it from me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Alright, bye bye.